Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a meeting of the Land Use Committee of Community Board number 8. My name is Charles Murder. I chair the committee. To my right is Robert Bender. At the end of the table on my left is Stephen Matthews. And one of the most important member of the committee is our district service manager, Tara Rubin. We have one person short from a quorum, but I don't want to delay the meeting. So what we will do is change the agenda a little bit so as to deal with matters that do not require a vote or that are somewhat lengthy in content.
Chuck,
Uh,
just note that I am here.
Marty, you count. I do have my.
I count.
Yeah, but he's 4. He's number 4.
Well, Daniel will be here shortly, so we will get a quorum.
All right. We will defer the approval of the committee minutes. We will defer the chair's report. And we will defer the LPC Landmarks Preservation Commission application because that does require a vote. We will go to number 5, which does not, as far as I can see, 2738 Kingsbridge Terrace, Universal Affordability Preference Development Project, a 6-story, 15 apartment residential building. Is there anybody here from that group?
Yes, hello, my name is Brenda Slokowski. I am the attorney for ownership, and ownership is on the meeting as well. Our representative Devindra is here.
Hi, I'm Devendra, and Renato, the ownership of the property, is here as well.
Great.
All right. So let me tell you exactly why I put this matter on the agenda. It is stated to be one that provides affordable housing. It is stated to be one where the affordability is at a basis of 80% of the AMI. And what I would like to determine here is something that was been a constant problem for this community. We support actively affordable housing, but too much is put before this board and in the city as a whole that is alleged to be affordable. It isn't. So, for example, what is affordable in the Riverdale and Kingsbridge communities is by no means affordable in the South Bronx, nor is what is affordable in the South Bronx even affordable in some parts of Manhattan and Queens. So affordability is a non sequitur by any means, if you look at it. This one is alleged to be 80% of the AMI. And so what I would first like to ask you is, what are the rents?
So at the outset, I'll make a slight correction because we have units at different income levels, 40%, 60%, and 80%. The distribution is for an average of 60. So we have all different levels. I can actually pull up the rents that are dictated by Housing Urban Development.
That would be very much appreciated.
Yes, of course. Let me just pull up the numbers. I just don't have them readily available in a second.
Let me, while you're doing it, make clear why we do this. About 3 or 4 years ago, a young woman who was a reporter for the Riverdale Press came to us and said, you know, I hear about affordable housing. I'm looking, I make $50,000 a year, and there's nothing in the area or anywhere else that's truly affordable. We started to dig into it, and she was absolutely right. So what we want to do is to check on those issues and those buildings that carry the banner of affordability, and to make sure that they are truly affordable. So that's why I asked you first as to the rents.
Yeah, no problem. So at 40% AMI, the studios are about $1,100, one bedrooms at about $1,200, and two bedrooms at about $1,400. That's dictated by Housing Urban Development, the numbers that the city releases. At 60% AMI, a studio is about 17, maybe less depending on what utilities we end up going with. The one bedrooms at 18 and a two bedroom at about 2 or 21. And then at 80% AMI, a studio is about 2,000, one bedroom at about 24, less, and then two bedrooms at about 28, less.
You said studios, of which there are two listed, are going at about $2,000.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
You indicated that the studios are going for about $2,000. Is that correct?
We have two studios in the building. Let me just
Yes.
double check what AMI levels they are, because
Before you do that, do you
one
know
of
what
them
the-
is one of the studios is at 40% AMI, so that studio is about $1,100 less. And then the other studio is at 60% AMI, which is about $1,700 less. When we factor in the utilities for the project, the rent ends up being lower.
Let me make the point to you. As you probably know, the AMI is one that is supposed to be the average median income for the city of New York or for the community. But in point of fact, it is determined by including in the base number the cities of and areas surrounding Scarsdale, New Rochelle, Roslyn, Great Neck, and other affluent places, thereby inflating the base, inflating the cost, and inflating what people are paying in rent. It's a hoax. I say that to you as a member of the New York City Housing Development Corporation, which participates in continuing that hoax. So just because it's 40% of the AMI, it's 40% of an inflated area as to the average median income in this community and throughout the city of New York. That said, if you look at the numbers, the 60% at $1,700 per studio is pretty healthy price, don't you think?
So that's actually the cap that's set by the city. But rents can be lower than that.
That's right. And that's part of my problem.
And the rents,
We
but
have
that's the
been
cap.
urging-
That is the
we have
maximum.
been urging-
That is the maximum it could be, and the rents won't go into effect for another 3 years until after construction. So it won't be adjusted when AMIs increase. It will be capped at these numbers.
And we have been urging the city of New York through the de Blasio administration and through the Adams administration and now through the Mamdani administration that it is time to get real, that the average income ought to be appraised based on community or based on zip codes or based on realistic things as to what is average in that area. And I hate to pick on you, but you were the first one to come in for a hearing. Please, you were the first ones to come in. Are you persuaded? And I really would appreciate a candid response, which I'm sure I will get. Are you persuaded that that is affordable for people in the Kingsbridge Terrace area?
So we come at it from a perspective of making sure that this project gets built so that we can provide all types of housing. both at every AMI level that we've stated, the 40, the 60, the 80, as well as some market rate, and to make sure that we're servicing the community as a whole. I can't make an opinion as to rents that are going to be in that area in 3 years' time when administrations have changed or new laws have come about. At this point, we're looking to construct and provide more housing to your community, and that is our objective, to make sure that we have a viable building that can service the community.
You know, I appreciate your candor. I appreciate that you are here, and I have no intention in this to in any manner, way, shape, or form embarrass you. I really do not. My concern here is the following. Affordability, as it has been used for the past years, is a pure and unadulterated hoax. You are right. It is your function to provide for your clients as much housing as you can at a price that is sustainable from a cost basis and from an investment basis. At the same time, the city is the ultimate landlord in this equation, has a responsibility to make it affordable for you by providing you with tax breaks that make sense, with inducements in terms of land costs and the like, which makes sense. The city has failed in that responsibility throughout the last two administrations, and it's about time somebody called everybody to task. And you're not the person who should be suffering for it. You're trying to put up a building. You have your money, your clients' money at risk and at stake, and you're doing the best you can, consistent with your obligation to represent the interests of the developer. And what I wanted to do was to make it plain that this is a moderately priced house for the area. It is one that clearly is uplifting to that community, and is one that I, for one, would not in any way seek to denigrate. But is it affordable? So
I
for
appreciate
example,
I do appreciate where you're coming from, and I hear you. I think this is a larger scale issue to bring up with the administration at hand. It's not really something that can be tackled for our single building. Our single building is doing the best it can in providing different income levels and different rent levels to different communities in this area to make sure that we're meeting the needs of different people, and we're following the rules that are set forth before us.
you are
the
absolutely right. You are
the
following
the
the rules, but they're not rules that benefit the public. And all
I understand your concern, and I totally and to a certain extent I do agree with you, but I think that is a larger scale problem that you need to bring up with an administration.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do. Every single application that comes through here is going to be that simple. On this hearing, there's present a representative of the Department of City Planning, which under the prior administration was no damn help at all. And that's being charitable. There's others who are representative of government. And what we're trying to do on a case-by-case basis, because nothing else has thus far worked, is to say, here's an example of people trying to do their best. You could have, and correct me if I'm wrong, you could have lowered the cost of this building, could you not? If you were spared any of the city land costs or other fees, am I right?
I can't speak to that. That's just not the reality of the situation. That's not how.
But that's the reality of what should be the situation.
If I may chime in, this is David Shamshovich from Beldenberg, and I'm here with Brenda. I completely understand your concern and the issue you're raising. The problem is we're not the owner, and
We're
we're not
not-
involved in construction costs, which
Absolutely
are
not. You
which
are
are
not,
significant. And
you are not
in terms of
paused. You have done nothing wrong. You have done
Yes,
everything
I just-
right and then some.
I'll take the
Can
compliment.
I ask, yeah,
Go ahead.
can I ask, is there anything you could, excuse me, show us on screen about the development project?
Sure. Devendra, do you mind just pulling up the slide
Yeah,
we
I can
that
go
we
ahead
shared
and
this
get that
afternoon?
up.
I'm gonna make you a co-host, or let me know who to make the
Oh, you,
co-host.
look, you can just allow him
Okay, got it.
if he requests it
Thank,
himself.
he did, I see.
Has this been asked? How many total units will be in the new building?
15.
Well, no, they say 15 are set aside as universally affordable.
Oh, I put.
Wait,
It
so
doesn't
it's-
clearly state total number of units, unless it's 100%.
It's
100%.
Oh, okay.
Here it is, here are the answers.
Yeah,
Oh, one of
that's
us has 6
that's
units.
what I noticed on the minutes was that it stated 15, but we have a total of 36 units, 15 being affordable and 21 being market.
So that is another issue
And then you
under
also
the
say-
subject of affordable housing.
You also say an average of 60% AMI.
Right.
So different ones are targeting different levels as well.
Yes,
Yeah, they gave us the 40%, 80%
Alright.
too.
Why not make them all 40%?
and I apologize, and let me reiterate, you have nothing to in any way apologize to anyone for. We thank you for your cooperation. It is a project that looks absolutely well done, and we commend you for it. But we wanted to use it as an example so we could start zeroing in. Because it's time, and I tell you, I have a meeting of the Housing Development Corporation tomorrow, which is the largest lender for affordable housing. I'm gonna raise the same damn thing and embarrass them there too. Because this is wrong. We are lying to the public. Now, illustrate, I can point out to you a major building in Manhattan where there are 10 apartments out of 200 that have the affordable kind of rents. The remainder are luxury apartments. And yet the whole building is called an affordable housing building. That's wrong. And what we are doing is lying to the people of the city of New York. You're not, you're following the rules. You're following and you're doing what you have to do. The city, if it wants to have, as it should have, affordable housing for people who can't afford luxury homes, or to provide support, whether it be subsidies and by way of land, by way of tax reduction or the like. You can't have it both ways. And so what we're going to try and do is illustrate how the people are being misled by the term affordable housing. And I apologize to you
I already have.
publicly for putting you in that position.
Yeah, let him show.
If I may say something just briefly, is there's a difference between affordable housing that's subsidized and very low income in the 20s, 30s, and 40s that are built in areas where land is cheaper and subsidies are available. But that is the true affordable housing that I think you're probably referring to. This type of affordable housing is affordable in the respect of it's a mixed income affordable building where the private and the public enter into a relationship, into a partnership, so to speak, to provide units in areas that generally wouldn't have that level of affordability. And you're right, it's not deeply affordable, but that doesn't mean that it's not affordable. And yes, there are issues with the AMIs, given that they're universal, and that's not actually accurate. But at the same time, like Brenda said, they're 3 years old at that point, and they're subject to rent stabilization. So the different types of affordable housing are being provided. It's just that the subsidized housing that's really very low income, deeply affordable, is not something that can pencil and that can be privately financed. And operating expenses are growing, and without the income needed to support a building, there would be no building in the first place. And so I just want to say that
Yes.
overall, as a policy matter, that you have to be looking at the bigger picture, and the private-public relationship here is necessary in order to provide some level of affordable housing. So people who don't have the means, maybe they're not paying very or extremely low income, but they're part of a mixed income building in a neighborhood that's growing, getting them opportunities and schools and jobs that they normally wouldn't have the ability to participate in because of their status, where they grew up, or their education. And so there's a place in it, but it's not the affordable housing that you were thinking about that's deeply affordable. This is mixed income affordable housing. It's a little bit of a different category.
You've just illustrated the problem. It's a misnomer to refer to it as affordable. It is moderate, it is lower income, it is any one of 15 things, but it is a deliberate misnomer characterized by and created by government that is deceptive. And that's all I'm trying to point out. Please understand, you need in this city a balance of housing, whether it be luxury, middle income, Mitchell-Armour, supported, assisted, etc. And you fit into a very important category. But then you are blended with a name, blended in terms of people thinking, for me, it's affordable. We don't even use the right standards for determining affordability. We're using Great Neck, we're using New Rochelle. That's just wrong. It is deceptive. And this administration at the moment is buying that hashish. And so I thank you for aiding us. I have one request to make of you. You are entering into an area that is extremely fragile in this community. I've been in the housing business for over 40 years. I represent some of the largest builders and developers in this city. I was the Commissioner of Housing and Building, so that I have a deep personal interest in it. The request I make of you is the following. Don't give up. Build more and more. Exactly the kind of housing that you're building now. But let the people know that this is housing that is moderately priced, or some other term really isn't affordable for everyone. And if you are going to say it's affordable, give them a scale of affordability. Because people go from building to building to try and find. What do you know what the income level would be to support that 60% studio?
Brenda, can you take a look at the schedule and advise about that?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, the HPD schedule.
Yeah. The HPD schedule says that 60% of AMI is about $97,000.
So there you are, $97,000. How many people really make that kind of money?
That's a household, remember. So
Right, a household
you
for a
have-
family of 4.
That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm sorry. I really apologize to you for you having to be victimized by me and trying to illustrate the problem. I mean that.
We understand where you're coming from, and we totally appreciate the position that you're in, and where your motives are coming from. Our project is specific to this area, and we will going forward refer to it as a mixed income building. The way that the city and the agencies operate under these programs, they use the misnomer to say affordable housing, so that's just kind of our colloquial nomenclature. We will make the effort to going forward to specify that this is mixed income.
And if there is any way in which this board can help you, not only help you on this building, but any other that you choose or site you choose in this community board district, we invite you to let us know. We thank you for your cooperation.
Should we let them show us the
Yes, please show us. It's a lovely looking building.
Yeah.
Is it? Should look like a castle. Like,
Yeah, I believe there's a castle located right on the left end of it. So yeah, we've heavily focused on being that it's a mixed income building. We focused on sharing. There's every space is accessible for all the tenants throughout the building. We have an elevator service that goes from the lobby to the roof. So we have additional recreational area on the roof of the building. We also have the rec area at the rear yard, and we've done a really nice courtyard space as well for the bicycle storage for the space. And again, these are all common areas for everyone throughout the building to use.
Is there accessibility to the roof?
Yes, yes, there is. Yeah.
Have you given thought to the possibility of turning it in whole or in part to a green roof and getting the financial assistance and as a result of that?
Yeah, we have looked into that. Currently right now we're working with the Department of Buildings. We've sent some requests on how we would go about setting up the design for the green roof. But right now they're backed up. I believe they actually emailed me today saying they're backed up about 24 days. They haven't even had an opportunity to look at our building yet. So we do want to pitch the idea for a full green roof access. And we also do have a penthouse level. And there is a full elevator. Yeah.
To try and make you whole,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask the district service manager to communicate on behalf of the board with the Department of Buildings to request that they expedite that application.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right, Tara?
Mm-hmm.
Will you be in touch with her and give her your DB numbers so they can do it?
Okay. And
We
I'll
appreciate
ask
that.
if
Thank
you
you.
could send me yes, if you could send me the presentation when you can, that would be great. as
Yeah,
well.
no problem. We're just having Outlook issues today. Apparently, Microsoft is down all over the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've had it here too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you could get the Zoom link at least.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I thank you for your help. And if we can reciprocate, let the board know.
We appreciate you guys hearing us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your night, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
We now have a quorum with Mr. Rowan with us, so we are able to move on. I'd like to take another item out
Did
of
you have
order.
questions?
I just wanted to ask how many trees they're cutting down to build the building.
Pardon me?
He wanted to ask some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. They're gone.
Are they gone?
Yeah, it's okay.
My apologies.
That's always my question. How many trees are you cutting down as of right? the
It's not a
buildings?
protected neighborhood.
Well, right, no, it's not,
But
but
I wonder,
it is,
I-
look,
So-
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
well, they,
Dan,
their pictures show the
Sorry.
tree. So
I apologize. I apologize. I'd like to move to item number 7. 4800 Independence Avenue. Report on the private sanitation hookup. Is somebody here from, I thought I saw
So the lawyer, Jay
Jay Siegel,
Beagle.
a distinguished lawyer, I should tell you.
Let me see if he's still.
Jay, are you there?
Here,
Bob Kent.
oh, here, Chuck.
Here as well.
Oh,
Okay.
Let me give you some background. In 2013 and 23, 2 years ago, an application was brought to this board in connection with this property where we have had solid cooperation from the Telsey Yeshiva over the years in terms of its construction in a very unique area directly opposite Wave Hill. And we were told they'd like approvals and they'd like to go ahead and move forward with construction. A unanimous board reminded them of a couple of things. Riverdale, Staten Island, and parts of other boroughs, but not including Manhattan, is not fully sewered. There are houses in this area which until 10 years ago, where the sewage, the effluent, flew right into the Hudson River until replaced. In many instances, that void is filled by private sanitary districts, which are individuals, generally volunteers, who combine with others to put together a sanitation district and fill the void of government's failure to do so. This is one of them. It's one which is filled by the Riverdale Sanitation District, whose executive director, Susan Morgenthau, I see is online.
Mhm.
And we asked the then proponent of the measure, the architect, by unanimous vote to, as promptly as possible, file with the sanitation district. Because if he didn't, the problem would be either the community would be blessed with a stream of effluent from young people who are going to live in that dormitory, or the area would be defouled. There are no legal cesspools or cisterns or the like in the city of New York. So nothing happened. And earlier this year, pardon me, last year, we were advised, the board was advised, that construction work on the dormitory and in the area had begun, that some of it placed at risk the existing lines of the sanitation district, and that no application had been filed, though requested and conditioned 2 years previously. That did not make any member of this board happy. And the board unanimously decided to function on it and support the sanitation district to make sure that all permits that had been issued by the city agencies be revoked until there was compliance. That's the background. I was notified about a week or so ago that Jay Siegel, a highly respected land use lawyer who I've known for decades, is now, or maybe previously have been, but is now functioning as counsel to the applicant, Telson. Jay, will you pick it up and tell me where you are and where you're going vis-a-vis the sanitation district?
Yes, Chuck, thanks. As Chuck said, I'm Jay Siegel. I'm a land use lawyer with the firm of Greenberg Traurig, and I represent the yeshiva. The yeshiva is going to apply to Riverdale Sanitation Corporation to have a sanitary waste hookup, and they should do so quickly. And let me just explain how we got there, and you're absolutely right that yeshiva did obtain a permit from DOB based upon approval from the Department of Environmental Protection that it was hooking both sanitary waste and stormwater runoff to the sewer system. That was based upon a DEP map that calls the sewer a combined sewer. And when Susan Morgenthau, who was on this call, saw construction was starting without an application made to RSE, she informed the yeshiva, this board, and other agencies that that was incorrect and that RSC was controlling that sewer and it was not a combined sewer. I was then retained and I asked my partner, who's more expert in these matters than I was, and I am, to reach out to DEP and ask them, is their map wrong and is Susan right? And it turned out that that was the case, that DEP's map was wrong and Susan was right. And she convinced DEP that they were wrong, and DEP reversed the permit that they gave us, and DOB issued a stop work order, and we stopped. And now we're in the process of hiring an engineer to apply to Riverdale Sanitation Corporation for the sanitary waste hookup. There was a little bit of a delay because at first we wanted to hire the engineer Niels Strandberg, who Riverdale Sanitation Corporation uses, because we figured he would know how to do it right. But understandably, RSC said there could be a conflict of interest. So, and they told us about that this week with hiring their engineer. So we will hire another engineer and he will make the application, I guess, reviewed by Neil. So we did have a problem. There was, unfortunately, the DP has a map. I hope they correct it. But we're now on the track that I think everybody wants us to be, and so there shouldn't be any more issues. That's my story.
Okay, thank you so much. Susan, what have you, do you have any comments on this?
Well, I just want to say that I went through the RSC records, and RSC has had to essentially prove their status as the deeded owner of the private sanitary lines with every single mayoral administration. So it's not a surprise that we had to do it again. And I want to call out particularly Effie Artizzoni, who many of you in the room know because she has been a longtime DEP, first as the community liaison, now as the Bronx Borough Commissioner. She was incredibly helpful during this entire process where RSC had to submit several ancient documents to the New York City Legal Department. And Effie was an incredible guide all the way up until Christmas Eve. And I'm not exaggerating about that. So I'm glad in a way we had this opportunity to bring it up, that this is the status of this 100-year-old private sanitary line that was put in place by Evangelina Perkins, who was the daughter of the Perkins estate that now is Wave Hill. And it has been serving 300 properties in Wave Hill and the Riverdale area since 1963 as an incorporated sewer system, and since 1936 as a sanitary line. So I have to say, I really appreciate the community board's interest and involvement. And we have been partnered with the yeshiva before, and we intend to continue partnering with them on this project.
I sincerely hope that that is the last we will hear of this incident, and everything will go forward smoothly.
Me too.
If either you or Jay or his client have any further concerns, please let us know. We need to get this done.
Thank
We have
you
no
so
concerns.
much. Thank you.
We will be happy to work with Susan and her team.
Thank you.
Very good. At least this is one story that ends
Check off.
helpfully. One hopes. I would hope. Thank you so much, Jay. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to the people of DEP
Effie
who
is
stood
here.
up.
Effie is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate you reaching out to us and bringing everything to our attention as well. It was right before the holidays up to Christmas Eve, but we worked on it together. And thank you so much for the shout out. That's what government and community, we work together. So that's so important. Thank you.
100%.
Well done. Well done. So let me now move on. I've got an application which has to be passed on. It's item number 4, Landmarks Preservation Commission application 26-03973, 4475 Waldo Avenue, a front facade window replacement. Is the applicant present?
Yes, hi.
Yes.
My name's Laura Bacon Zarn. I'm the owner, and I'm here to talk about our project.
And is there, are you going to be representing yourself, or is there a professional?
I'm going to be representing myself.
Okay.
I've worked
Is
on this
somebody
project
here
with our
from Landmarks? I don't think so.
No, I see.
All right,
Camilla from
would
City
you tell
Trend.
us, please, this is something incidentally that the committee will have to vote on, so you should pay attention with that in view. Go ahead.
yeah.
Or
Yes.
should we share the screen for you?
Yes. Can
Or
you share the screen? That would be great.
Are you gonna share it? Are you gonna put it on?
I can share it.
or-
I can do either way. Doesn't matter to me. Whatever is easiest for you. If you want to
If
share it.
can do it, yeah, if you could share, otherwise I'll do it, but it might take a little longer.
While
I'm
that's
happy
all
to pull it
going
up
on, let me
right
make
now.
clear This is a property in the Fieldston Historic Area or District.
Great.
Yes. So this is our house 4475 Waldo Avenue. We've spent the last year working with an architect to maintain the historic character of the home and go through the landmarks process to replace. Most of our windows in our house are either original or single pane versions that have been deteriorated. We have worked with landmarks and gotten approval for the sides and the back of the house at a staff level for aluminum clad windows. But per the landmark process, we need to go through you guys and talk through landmarks to get approval for aluminum clad windows on the front of the house. So this is our house. It's a Craftsman. It's set back. It's about a little over 100 years old. What we are looking to do, and this is a picture of our neighborhood. Here is the tax photo we have from 1980 showing the house. One of the things we are really thoughtful about is all of our windows are matching the existing and keeping all of the architectural features. The only difference is it is aluminum clad. One of the things we are doing is anywhere there is molding, like brick molding or casing, all of that will still be wood. So that we'll keep with the same profiles and really keep the character of the house. So here's kind of a drawing of which windows we are looking to replace. The triangle window and the attic window, we are actually going to repair and keep as original. But the rest of the windows would be aluminum clad replacements. And again, these have already been approved through the process on the sides and on the back. We're going to keep all the historic details. It'll be the same configuration that you see right here. We've actually worked with our FPOA neighborhood board. There's a letter in this packet of approval from them, approving this, and they're actually in the process of reaching out to landmarks to talk about how to, if we can make aluminum clad windows actually approved at staff level. And I know that's something that the landmarks committee has been working with as well. So as you can see, a lot of our windows are old and deteriorated. We're really just trying to update our home, keep the aesthetics, be energy efficient. You can see on here the details. So all the brick molding will be applied over the aluminum clad. So it'll still have that same wood appeal. You will not notice any different from the street. It is as little aluminum cladding as possible.
Okay.
And here's some more.
Any questions? On the motion, are there any questions from anyone on the Zoom? Hearing and seeing none, on the motion to approve, all those in favor? Marty, contrary minded or abstention? The motion is unanimously adopted. It will go to the next board meeting for ratification. And I thank you for your attention. This was a really first-class presentation.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your approval. Thanks.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda relates to a repeat customer, Chevier Rehabilitation and Nursing Center. Is there a representative of Chevier with us this evening? Going once.
Yeah, let's give it a second.
Wait.
No, I don't see it. It's just.
Is there a representative of Chevier present? Seeing none, we will then have to outline where it is and deal with the issue. But this is not a surprise in terms of Chevier's lack of respect for its neighbors and the community. Jody.
There.
Jody Colon.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
And Effie is next.
Go ahead. You're on.
Did you get the pictures that I sent of the
Yes.
aftermath? So, DOB came, they did not go behind the building. They said no violation, even though I did show you photos of the excavation. And now there's pipes in there. And I believe that some of those pipes, they were excavating in the mapped, but unbuilt portion of Palisade Avenue. So there are multiple things that went on there. And I was just curious as to whether at the borough cabinet meeting, or I know Farah had talked to DOB and told them to go behind the building, whether anything else had happened.
Can I see?
Yeah.
Did I get these?
No,
Is this after the
it-
fact?
it blinked today.
Oh, okay.
Pass them around, but try and hold them together.
They said they were resending before I went away for inspection, so I do have to follow up tomorrow with DOB to see if there was a follow-up inspection. And I will send these photos that Chuck has, so I'll get those from him.
Here is the issue in a nutshell. Chevier has done this time and again in terms of construction that is violative, SNAD, construction and excavation that is violative of rules. And time and again, the building inspectors are short-sighted, harking back to years back. And so the question I have for the committee is the following. The responses we can make usually is to kick DOB for failing to do its job. And that is what we will do. But I think the issue and the problems that have been encountered repeatedly by Chevier may warrant our request to the New York Department of Health to examine whether or not Chevier deserves licensing in light of its repeated violations of law. So that is the issue I would raise to you. I think this may not be enough in a case to do it, and it may be. We don't know, and I'd like to get your judgment.
And Effie had her hand raised.
Effie?
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have much to add, but since I'm on the meeting, and nobody is here from Chevier, Farah brought this to my attention last month. And at the time, I think you thought it was DP doing some kind of construction work there or something. And so we confirmed DP was not doing any construction work on their premises. I actually spoke to Mr. Nunzi, I think is his name, and he explained that he was addressing a blocked drain pipe on his property. So he said he was receiving complaints from neighbors, and then he did refer to DP as well, that his drain was overflowing and causing flooding conditions. I am not aware of any specific, direction from DP to tell him about a blocked drain, but that's what he stated. He didn't have anything in writing or anything like that to share with me. He also stated he hired several professionals and who advised him what he had to do, unblock the drain, put in a new one. And he stated that all that work was completed like 3 weeks before I had that conversation with him, which means it was done by the beginning of December. But now, Jody, you're saying the pictures you had are current pictures?
Hi, Effie. Thank you. No, I reported it on November 30th, put in a 311. The inspector came out, I believe, December 4th and said there was no evidence of any excavations. The photos I had originally sent showed I don't know what the equipment was, a backhoe or something, and there were trenches and silt barriers, and now the photos that I sent were, it is on a slope, it is part of the special natural area district, so they're not supposed to be digging or altering vegetation. They had exposed tree roots, so I was just concerned that again, they were doing work in the SNAD without following the proper procedures. We've lost a lot of trees on that property because of this. So I took pictures today that even if the inspector came today, they could see that there obviously was work done. There's all these blue pipes sticking out of the ground with caps on them. And you could see the vehicle tracks, and also the excavated area is covered with straw. So there is clear evidence that something was done there. And some of the neighbors did tell me that that there was water going down their driveways, but still there's a process to follow. And especially since some of those pipes look like they're in the mapped but unpaved portion of Palisade Avenue. So I just asked the community board to check it out. So I'm glad that they talked to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Farah brought it up. And Farah, keep me posted on what building says. I don't think they ever answered the initial email you had sent, but I'm not sure.
But they did say I need to speak with DCP, and I see Camilla's here with us tonight. Because it's SNAD, it goes through DCP, again, the runaround, but DOB has to do the inspection on it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Camilla, if they have to come to you for work on the grounds like that in a SNAD district.
So let me make a suggestion.
Wait, oh, okay, go ahead.
Just give me a minute. Camilla, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
I'm delighted to see you, and I thank you for being here. We will send you a set, Farrell will send you a set of the photographs taken today. They clearly speak for themselves in terms of construction work without any application or the like. Would you be able to present that to the local borough, the coordinator for for city planning?
Yes, I can. But again, I think it's tricky because, again, I think, as I've said many times, since we are not an enforcement agency, it's up to DOB to conduct that. But I can definitely show that to my team, and that's something again we're keeping in track of. And I know that we've heard from a lot of you through the years complaints about the specific property owner. So we'll be on the lookout. So Farah, I'll wait for your email, and I'll share with my office. Thank you.
So now, let me tell you something. Oh, Bob, okay.
I think we should give Paula Kaplan an opportunity to speak.
Oh.
And she's right downhill.
I didn't see you.
I just wanted to say that according to the DOB website, the Chervier has not applied for any permits. There have been no permits applied for or issued for any of their addresses, actually. So whatever they're doing, they're just doing. Aside from the SNAD issue.
Let me make a couple of very quick points. If there be any entity that has let us down here, it is DOB. And it follows, to me at least, a very familiar pattern of lackadaisical and uninformed actions by DOB inspectors, 37 of whom I showed together with Frank Hogan, the prison system in New York, some years back. My point in all of this is again just an illustrative case of a problem. They are supposed to be an enforcement agency. So what I would recommend we do is the following. One, that by motion, which I'm happy to make, we call upon Chervier to show cause at the next meeting of this committee why we should not ask the Department of Health to take action against its license for violation of law. That is a ground for action. Two, that we communicate with DOB and again show them what's going on. and failing cooperation on their part to do what they're supposed to do, that we ask the mayor prior to appointing a new building commissioner or borough superintendents or commissioners, that they take a good hard look through the Department of Investigations as to what is going on here. It is an almost monthly occurrence in terms of DOB inattention. Did anybody have any views on either of those? Robert?
I do, Chuck. First of all, I'm not prepared to suggest that any action is taken against Cherbier's license because of this issue. I don't think it rises to that level in an institution that is, there for rehabilitation and nursing care. Effie, from what Effie told us and from her conversation, it would appear that there was a legitimate problem that Chervier had to address with regard to its sewer system. There are two problems here, one of which is the DOB problem, which I'm 100% in agreement with you. DOB only seems to employ people who are vision impaired. They don't seem to find
appropriate time.
Yes, on certain occasions. They can't find in Fieldston just recently, we had worked, we had videos of something. The DOB people went out there and couldn't see what we saw. And now we have a second example of this where clearly there was work done and DOB couldn't see it. So I'm with you 100% on DOB. Chervier, well, I don't think this is an issue that is really relevant to their license. Clearly, Chervier is not a good neighbor. We have had the problem with trees being cut down. We have this problem of they're going ahead and doing something which, legitimate or not. I mean, and apparently it was legitimate what they had to do. They don't bother to go through the proper procedure to do this. As far as they're concerned, SNAD is, doesn't exist for them. They don't even have the courtesy to send somebody to talk to us or explain this. If they had a good reason to do it, as apparently they did, why should it be a problem to come in and say we have to do this and and explain their point of view?
So what would you suggest in respect of Chervier's conduct?
I think we should write to them. I think we should include city planning, even though they're not an enforcement agency in DOB, and say that this is the second time in recently that Chervier has violated the SNAD regulations, and this is deeply troublesome. And Chervier is being a terrible neighbor, and we would like to meet with them at some point to discuss why they continue to ignore the SNAD regulations that do affect them because they're in a SNAD district. That was my suggestion. Yeah.
Any thoughts on anybody's part?
Yeah, I have one thought. Most of the more senior members on the board think, and I include myself, consider Chervier to be that great institution run by the nuns and really good neighbors. This new corporate entity couldn't care less. And we're treating them, I believe, I agree with Bob about some of the conditions, but the fact is, we keep thinking of the nuns and the wonderful institution, Chervier. This is not the same group.
This is a group, we have talked to them, I have talked to them extensively. They come from the borough of Brooklyn and certain parts of it. They own more than one nursing home. And we've had, over the years, investigation after investigation as to whether nursing homes are being properly run or being run on an inappropriate basis. Would you do this for me, Bob? would you prepare a draft of letter which will circulate among the committee members addressed to Chevier so that we can deal with its aspect? I will put together with Farah something to deal with DOB, and then we will communicate with the members of the committee. I beg your pardon, to see if those two letters meet with your approval. How does that sound?
Sure, I'm willing to draft a letter, yes.
Is that up, Steve?
Yes.
Dan, Marty?
Fine.
Okay. Done. Thank you. And that takes me over to Van Cortlandt Village.
Quick, one question. Are we, the purpose of the letter, Bob, would be to summon them or in effect
Yeah,
to appear at next month's meeting?
Ideally, yes, to point out the repeated violations, our concerns about it. And that we really would like to find out from them why they continue to disregard the regulations that they are obligated to respect. And then, depending on their response, then we can figure out where to go from there.
Okay.
Farah, please, you have the photographs, date them, each of them individually. This is today's date, put them in the files.
Did she
Well,
email
today's
us to
date or the date that the photograph was taken.
She told me she took them today.
Okay.
Jody,
Can Jody just send them to me and then I have
Yeah, I
them?
sent them.
Jody?
Yes, I'm here.
When did you take these pictures?
So what I sent today to the CBA email address, I also copied you, Chuck and Marty. I sent the original photos from, I believe it was November 30th, where, there was the excavation, the root zone of the trees were exposed, the silt barriers, the hay bales. And then today I took pictures showing that if the DOB inspector had gone behind the property on Palisade, as Farah and I both had directed them, they would see that something had been dug up in that area. So I sent pictures of the pipes that are now exposed and the tire tracks and the straw covering the excavated area. So they put pipes in. My concern is they were digging into slopes, they were in the root zones of trees, and they were digging in the mapped but unbuilt portion of the street. And I couldn't find anything saying that they had asked anybody for permission.
I don't know. We had issues today, so I didn't receive that. I didn't see this till just
Well,
now.
you can take the copy,
Yeah.
give them to me.
Okay, great.
And
Do you need
just
me to
date it today.
Sarah, do you need me to resend it?
If you don't mind, then I
Okay,
can-
I'll just forward it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for putting this on the agenda again.
Comments on this issue? Hearing none, I will go forward to the next matter. Item number 8, Van Cortlandt Village Working Group. Study on development in the area. This is where I would like to combine both the chair's report and the issue. A few weeks or months ago, we started to receive from Abalethra, who was on a carefully prepared series of maps showing where the construction in that area has removed the single family homes, where in their place in many instances, we now have SROs quaintly renamed as micro units, and where we have other issues that are, in my view, based on some 50 years of experience with this stuff, the precursor to, at the very least, a decline in the quality of living in that area. I will tell you, as you've all heard from me before, the very first act that I had as Commissioner of Buildings was to meet with Frank Hogan, the legendary District Attorney of New York County, and later the Fire Commissioner, both of whom were very clear. SROs are the precursor to slums. SROs are the precursor to crime. SROs are the precursor to a declining neighborhood. Here you have, at my count, 8 or 9 of them so far, clustered together. And think about this. They are tiny, tiny little rooms away from any significant amount of mass public transit, away from any job opportunities on a significant scale, away from medical facilities on any significant scale, and away from community activities that would aid the individual. Now, to say that they are homes for young people or single people and that's the best that can be done, it's just wrong. And I don't want to see that area become a slum. I don't think anybody, either in the community or the like, wants it. I know the Assemblyman, Jeffrey Dinowitz, has been alert to this issue and has done a hell of a job trying to deal with it in terms of the constant flow of problems in that area. And so the question I put to the committee previously is, maybe it's time to see if we can get some of the local colleges to lend us some interns for a project of focusing on that area with particular attention to the micros. Why? 2 of the 3 council people who represent this community, and one of them in particular, are enthusiastic supporters of these SROs. And I just don't understand it. Now, I wish we could figure out where we want to go here. That's really the thing I would like to leave with you tonight. Either we just moan and complain about it and let it go by, or we focus on it. The only way to focus on it is to put together a further analysis and then make sure it receives appropriate press to do it. Does anybody have a view?
I have a couple of questions, and then one comment. Do we know what the rent is for these?
They have never given us any information on that.
And therefore we have no idea of who is actually occupying the 7 that have been completed?
Not only do we know that, we do not even know whether or not there is public money being poured into any of these.
And these are all individual buildings, Chuck,
Yes.
or they're
Yes.
And I mean, we should be able to find out who the owner is.
You
the
should
owner
be
of
able to
record.
find out who the front is, not
Right.
necessarily the actual.
You know, there's an element of irony here, if I recall, and I don't recall whether this occurred when I was on one side of the reporter's notebook working for a major metropolitan daily newspaper, or on the other side when I was working for the city controller's office. But there are those who will argue that the movement to get rid of SROs ultimately contributed to the lack of affordable housing in the city, because they were replaced in most cases by high-rise, expensive condominiums or rentals. And I'm not suggesting that's what's going on here, but it would be nice to know who they think or know their market is. And who's paying their rent. And it would make a difference, certainly, if it was an individual college student or whoever who was paying a monthly fee, as opposed to someone who is using either city or state or federal funding.
So let's into the following, but let me just give you a preface to it. I am responsible, I'm proud of that label, for having closed more SROs in the history of the city of New York than anyone else. As commissioner of buildings, I blocked them. Every one of them that we found was either a house of ill repute, or an opium facility, or some other illegal activity or improper one that provide decay, whether it be 95th Street between West End Avenue and Riverside Drive, which was loaded with them, and all over the media at the time, or Fox Street, which likewise had that kind of problem. But you do hit on an interesting issue. Let us then think about, before doing anything else, inviting the listed owners of each of those actual or permitted SROs to come before the board to tell us a little bit about what they are doing and why. And whether they are not, in the final analysis, supported financially by the same group of people, and perhaps all owned by the same group.
And these are all new construction?
Yep. Yep. Abba, are you there?
I am. I can give a little color to respond to the two questions that were raised, and then I'd also like to bring up one other point quickly. So regarding the rent, it is opaque. It's not written down anywhere I can find, but anecdotally, we've heard it's running around $3,000 a month per unit. And so effectively, when you
$3,000 a month? I mean,
400 square feet.
That goes back to to the discussion of the first issue with the mixed use building.
So again,
Go ahead.
this is anecdotal. This is anecdotal information, but this is what has been conveyed to different people in the neighborhood. And so, if, in effect, when you take a single family home and you divide it up into a 10 micro unit facility, you are looking at a facility now that can be generating something like $30,000 a month. So that's the best unbiased estimate we have now as to the answer to that question. Yes.
I'm sorry, I was actually before Mr. Abba.
No, you have to wait for the chair to call on you, please.
I'm sorry, who is that?
It's Natalia, her name is?
Yes,
And will you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Natalia Girshman. I live in Van Cortlandt Village on 3845 Sedgwick Avenue. That's the first time I'm participating in this sort of a meeting. I just joined you guys like 20 minutes ago, and I caught something that was said, that we need to come up with a plan how we can do something about what's going on in our place right now. So two things I wanted to point. I don't know about rental in those newly erected buildings and the ones that are still being erected, but there is a shelter built across of my building, across the street of my building, that it was one family house that was taken as is, reconstructed inside. And we know for sure that this is a shelter for criminal individuals, which kind of making our neighborhood very unsafe on the top of the bad situation as is. We have schools around, we have elderly people walking around. The crime rate went up significantly since end of 2024, ever since this place was in business. And this is something that is not right. Not being right to all of us here who lives here. That's number one. Number 2 point. One thing I see that we can do, which is simple thing. we can run a petition, and you as a board, community board, can participate in it or organize it. We can run a petition around Van Cortlandt Village, and I'm sure that the subject of the petition, if we agree or disagree to have our community erased like this, would be surprising. The response would be surprising. That's number two. And number three, another thing we can do, we can go to the press. With all this what's going on, and this is plenty of facts of what's going on, and this is not right. It's destroying the community, and it's not that many communities left in New York City, and the good communities, and I consider our community still good no matter what everybody say. We are family-oriented community. We kind of a sleepers community. People live here. They work in Manhattan. They work in Yonkers, but they come here and they invested here in the co-ops, in the private houses, and it's being destroyed. So I think we have plenty to say to local news and other news if it needs to be said. That's my point of this situation. Thank you for giving me a floor.
Can I have the address again of it can't be a shelter, maybe it's supportive housing, it can't be a Department of Homeland Service. Yeah, it could be a group home or supportive housing, but what was the address?
Well, my address is 3845 Sedgwick Avenue, they across and Stevenson Place. I don't know what's the house number, but they across and it's a Stevenson Place. And they the only one over there, so you cannot mix them up with anybody.
It's not germane to the underlying.
Okay, I just want to know anyway, 38456.
Who is the gentleman with that wonderful beard?
Is that the John who sent in his emails today, I believe?
I'll get you in a minute. The gentleman in number 2 spot.
John,
you have to unmute yourself.
Natalia, thank you. The chair has to run the meeting now. Thank you.
Hello.
John, please identify yourself.
I am John Ludwig. I live in Park Reservoir, 3835.
Oh, you just froze. Is everyone frozen?
No, I think it's just him.
Reconditioned and rebuilt on Stevenson Place.
I think it's
John, you are going in and out on your sound.
So the house that Natalia is referring to on Stevenson Place is located in what is commonly called Stevenson Place South, because Stevenson Place is like a U street that enters and then exits on Sedgwick Avenue. So Stevenson Place South would, the house in question would be to the right-hand side of what's called the Mutual Building, which would be 3840 Sedgwick, 3850 Sedgwick. But what I want to say is currently in the Van Cortlandt Village area, since the time when I retired about 4 years ago, we've had two.
We lost you again.
It's his connection.
Yeah, what they do is turn off his video because it's using too much power. He's not.
Two buildings that were built and currently occupied. We have 2 more buildings under construction. We have 3 plots currently undergoing a clearing process. And now you're talking about building another 8-story building, which would be roughly across the street from me, maybe a little bit south from where I am. And then next door to me, between my address and West 238th Street, you want to put in or combine another 6 to 8 addresses there, which this is really over construct.
I might just share that.
Is that the
Put Abba's
This
map
is not
up.
even, this is not even talking about the Bailey Avenue projects that have also taken down a couple of private houses, and the major, really, really large construction that they have across the Deegan, where the old Visitation Church was. That building is going to house more than 200 units, has to be. And there's nothing. It's just overstressing our neighborhood.
That is a planning issue. That is a planning issue that is an entirely different subject, although it does complicate the issues. If you look at the map that Abba provided, and Abba, I'm going to skip you for Gary Axelback so that we can then get back to you in a minute. That's the kind of construction that is going on. That area, now there are those who say any construction that builds more housing is a positive sign. And there's something in favor of that. On the other hand, when you have that dotted very significantly with SROs as well, and hacking the area, you not only change the character of the neighborhood, you very clearly change what the people are and the demography of the area. Mr. Axelbank.
There we go. Hello, friends and neighbors. I also live at 3845 Sedgwick Avenue, and sometimes I go to work later and I have to move my bedding from my bedroom to my living room because the noise that comes from the construction is oppressive. I'd like to just talk about a larger issue to all of the people, and you probably know this, but as you know, the work that I do, I see every neighborhood in the Bronx, and we're all struggling with it. And when I saw them take down the literal mountain on the corner of Sedgwick and Stevenson Place, I said, this is crazy. Now, what Charles just said makes a lot of sense. We need housing. Let's face it, if we don't put up housing, there are going to be more homeless people, there'll be more destitution in the city. But the problem is we need the right kind of housing. And where I'm going, and I'm so glad that Randy is here from the Assemblyman's office, I don't see anybody from the Councilman's office that I recognize. We need community plans. Now, I know that Rudy took the power away from the community boards, but if there was a community plan, then we could say this is where we, all of us in the neighborhood and the community board and the elected officials can say this is where it would be a good idea to put this kind of housing. But the way that what's going on down our block and all the way down south on Sedgwick Avenue and all these other neighborhoods is the developers are getting a plot of land and putting down whatever they want. If you go to Saxon Avenue, there's that big white building that's completely out of context of one of the most historic neighborhoods in New York City. And I mean, I don't know what the economics are in there, but that's not what our community needs. And I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe it's legislation, maybe it's more strength to the community board, whatever. But what is going on now, as has been described by everybody, is completely destructive. And I hear it in every neighborhood that I deal with in the Bronx. And in some neighborhoods, they've been able to get a community plan. So you see that, something goes up on East Burnside Avenue, and all of a sudden the rents are good, are lower enough so that people who really need housing can get housing, family people. But that's my point. I don't want to go on too long. I just want to put in that dealing with plot by plot and saying this building, that building, that's because there's no community plan. And if it has to come out of an elected official's office or out of the community board or some other advocacy group that's created to say, in our community, we all work together and we build a plan so we can welcome new people into the neighborhood, just like I was 60 years ago, and we can build the kind of housing in the kind of communities that make sense. That's all I wanted to say. Councilman Dinowitz will be on my show a week from Monday, and I will be asking him about these kinds of things. Thank you.
Axel Martin, let me just make a couple of quick points to you. First, history. The original name of the community board was the Community Planning Board. It was created for the purpose of doing precisely what
I'm
you
right
want.
with you, brother. I am right with you.
It was created for that purpose, and its parameters were created. They were to be coincidental with police precincts and districts and the like, so that there would be a unity of service. In the history of the city of New York, there has regularly been a shift between centralization and decentralization. Those who favored decentralization initiated the community planning boards over 40 years ago. And they were doing precisely that. And then along came a couple of guys from Brooklyn who got themselves elected to the mayoralty, who were opposed to it, ensconced their people in the city planning commission, and it became what it has been in the past, and community boards were rapidly deprived of any arms and legs to effectively do the job that they were originally chartered to do. Fritz Schwartz, who was Ed Koch's counsel, would turn over in somebody else's grave if he saw what had happened to it. So would Ed Koch. And so would John Lindsay. This is wrong. And the only way you can ever get this thing straightened out is if we do exactly what you have said, under whatever form and guise is acceptable. My problem with it is it does the smack of something that this administration is going to favor. Their objective is to build, and they don't give a damn what they do, where, how, and why.
I don't know if I agree with that, but that's a larger discussion.
So,
Maybe I'm wrong. Even
not only that, the recent charter commission change eliminates the city council to a significant extent in some of these decisions and leaves it entirely with City Hall and its appointees.
And the recent charter commission was steered in that direction by de Blasio's single largest proponent of these kind of acts. My point to you is the following. We do have to do it. We don't have, in my view, an administration that is going to be comfortable in that area. I believe that this mayor means well in the area of affordability. I believe it really is his objective, but he's going down a street that leads nowhere. Having said all of that, let me make a suggestion, then Abba, you're on.
Marty also.
Marty's here too. My suggestion is, we've done this once before, and I think it's worth doing again, to have a special meeting solely for the purpose of figuring out what we are gonna do with that area and that problem. Or just devote an entire meeting of this committee to that purpose. It is a constructive purpose. That map tells you a story, starting on Saxon and looking the clustering of these micro units. If the councilwoman from an adjacent district, who is such a strong proponent of SROs, has the gumption to do so, we ought to invite her to come and defend them. But this is just the beginning of a demise. It's a sad, sad state. Abba.
Thank you for recognizing me. I did want, so I want to say, I think what you're proposing, Mr. Chairman, is exactly what we need here. We need a devoted session and a report that lays out a vision for what this neighborhood should look like, that balances the need to build new housing with also the need to keep the neighborhood livable, and to make sure that the environment that people are moving into is one where they can build a home. And I think that vision in a written form is what's lacking right now.
Agreed.
I do want to provide a little color, if I may share my screen to some of the new development that's being proposed. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. Let me share my screen quickly. Okay, so to give what are you seeing now? Oh, that okay. So
Over
wrong
here.
one. Yep.
3822.
Sorry, wrong one. I have a couple windows open. Okay, here we go. So to give a little context to the micro unit map, 3822 Sedgwick here, because I know these are just numbers on a piece of paper. This was the home of Rabbi Sadin, who was the rabbi of the Brain Cortland Jewish Center for a long time. This was written up online in New York YIMBY, and I just want to refer you to the description and also the comments at the bottom of the article. The proposal is for a 74-foot tall development, 20,000 square feet, that will have 30 residencies on this, what was until now one single family house. I'm not sure how to work out the math exactly. I'm not an architect, but we are looking probably at 600 square foot apartments tops. So also this is proposed to be an 8-story building in a R6 area. So, I mean, the broader question is, how is this possible, and who's checking that the math checks out and that this is legal, particularly given the fact that this abuts the Jerome Park Reservoir and the berms and retaining walls for it. I also do want to raise this point that, of course, we have to build more in the city, but if you look at the sorts of comments that people are making in response to an article like this, I think there is a recognition that this development is coming at the cost of other stated objectives of the city, which are, for example, the heat index, which is something we're trying to push down throughout the city, will go up by the fact that we're losing this number of trees on the property. I wish the commissioner had stayed on the call, because we already have a stormwater runoff problem in this neighborhood, and paving over all this pervious surface area is just going to magnify that problem in the vicinity of the Jerome Park Reservoir. I'm a data-driven person, but someone here even wrote a poem to talk about what happens when nature is destroyed. And I think this is just another way of saying what we all recognize, that this need for development should be balanced with other factors like environmental factors, and currently it's not right now.
Abba, just let me make a point to you.
Yes.
Just the community boards or community planning boards were created to provide a grassroots outlet for initially reviewing and initially planning for their community. The City Planning Commission was created to plan for these kind of things. It by no means has done that at any point in the last dozen or so years on a long-term basis. We have City of Yes, let's go build more. It's a problem.
Yeah.
It's going to be worse.
I understood. And that and maybe that's where we can fill that gap a little bit, if the Van Cortlandt subcommittee is able, or as you suggested, a group of college students are able to come together and start to formulate what an alternate planning vision would look like. To the point about this just being the tip of the iceberg, I do want to be clear that really is the case. These 4 adjacent properties here, I'm told a single developer is trying to acquire this contiguous set of houses. This developer is really playing hardball. From what I'm told, he's pitting different people off against each other, some of whom have been in their homes for over 40 years. And just to give a concrete sense of what that looks like now and what it might look like if the entire property is developed, this is the aerial footage of those 4 or 5 houses right now. One thing that stands out, obviously, is there is significant pervious surface area here, beautiful trees, and overall, parking, that lends to some of the lower density nature of the neighborhood. A similar acquisition of contiguous properties further down Sedgwick Avenue, um, resulted in two developments that look like this, right? So this is one of them right here, and this is a second one right here that were previously single-family homes. And I see this when I take the express bus in to work. So I think something similar is probably being contemplated for this set of houses here. And again, I think that nobody is opposed to development, but if we are looking at an 8-story building here that has no setbacks, no parking, no trees, no front lawn, then the question is, how is that possible in light of the further considerable development that will be occurring in short notice in this neighborhood, including the historically significant Denishon house right here at 67 Stevenson Place. A surveyor was walking through this property yesterday. And so we imminently will probably see this historic building raised and further development happening here. So it's the tempo, it's the density and the context that I think is what needs some planning to balance out with social services and with environmental considerations.
Let me just make a point to you.
Yes.
Again, the issue is whether or not government is prepared to do its job and plan to harness the energies of a community and plan to do something that is factual rather than pure rhetoric. Marty.
Yeah, several issues. The first one is last month we had the developer of Saxon Avenue speak to us. I requested a copy of his plans for those buildings. He promised he would deliver it. I haven't seen them. Have we gotten anything?
Farrell will communicate in writing with him, asking it for a copy of the plans and giving him 10 days to let us have them.
All right.
Failing that, we will ask him.
I have some other things, please. On the issue of the building that Abba just referred to at Dance Studio, I thought that was going to be replaced by the new structure for Van Cortlandt Jewish Center. We haven't heard a word in months of what's going on with that. I think we should try to follow up. The issue of 69 Stevenson Place, that was the original, the first one where there was these micro units, and we tried to get information from the landlord, developer, sub-developer, whatever, and that person never came forward. So this issue has been, this issue's been around, and we need to further address that beyond all the rest of them. Now, my last comment is my concern. While Gary suggested that we come up with a plan for the area, and that may not be a bad idea, I am terribly concerned between Steve mentioned it and you mentioned it, between what was passed in the last referenda concerning the city charter and City of Yes housing. This is exactly what they want. Even though City of Yes said they would not change neighborhoods, this is exactly what's happening. Developers are swooping in like Eagles, whatever, and grabbing up properties. And the neighborhood, unfortunately, the neighborhood that we originally set up that subcommittee to work with Abba and his neighbors on, I mean, it's not the same neighborhood, and it's terribly distressing. And I don't know what we can do, but we got to figure out. But we got to do something.
All right, now, any other hands up?
Gary.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
All right,
I
Mr.
just
Axelrod,
wanted
go ahead.
to follow up with some information that Marty was suggesting. All I know is that Marshall Montefiore Community Center was told to leave by August because the VCJC had a sale to a charter school. At the last minute, at the 11th hour or 12th hour, they were told they could stay for another year. Now, it is unclear whether the charter school has left and the deal fell through, or I don't know, why would somebody want to wait a year? So, Marty's question as to what's going on at the Van Cortlandt Jewish Center is a very good one, and that is a central piece of property in this community. We've already lost on this one block two huge, two old buildings to huge apartments. It would be nice to have them on board to work with us on a community plan instead of having them, just sell off to a developer. And in fact, let's be clear, they are the ones that brought innovative into this neighborhood, and what that has result out of that is the fact that we have those two buildings being built. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Anybody else? So let me suggest that we will look to put together either a regular meeting of this committee or a special meeting during the month of February for the purpose of having a continuation solely of this point in discussion, or trying to predominantly have it. Let me also give you a comment. There is no question at all that this is really, in the final analysis, a question of what can be sold to an inattentive public. Just because you call it affordable housing doesn't mean it's affordable. Just because you call them homeless doesn't really mean they're homeless. You just don't have a home for a reason, or don't want one. It's the use of very sexy, well-publicized language. Number one. Number two, if you have an administration that is unprepared to help people, then the city of New York can merge with the city of Newark and be one and the same. And that is, in my view, the forecast for the city of New York. Very sad comment to make, but it bothers the hell out of me. We will have such a meeting. We will get together. I will consult with each and every one of the members of the committee, directly or through Farah, and we will put a session together. I will tell you, and this is the part that disturbs me. I have raised this issue now at 2 executive committee meetings. With the exception of Dan on one of them, nobody else said a word. Nobody else wanted to step forward and say, this is something we need to do. Either we're going to pay attention to it or to hell with it, and we ought to devote the time to inviting people to meet with the property owners and brokers of Westchester and Long Island to facilitate departure. This is not good. The city of New York is in a real bad shape. Let me just give you one fact. This is not a guess. For less than what you saw on Abba's map, the entire Grand Concourse from the courthouse up was emptied. 90% of the apartments turned over in less than 18 months after Co-op City opened up and repopulated, all because my late partner Herman Badillo wanted to do that for political reasons. All right? I tell you that because those are the facts. My point is, we've got to pay attention to housing as a real issue. I thank you for it. Now we have two pieces of final business.
Chuck, if I may,
Yes, please.
What you're proposing, and I'm in complete agreement with you about the fact that we need to do something like this, is I think sufficiently ambitious that I don't know whether we can pull this off in time for February. To do this right, we really should have our local elected officials, certainly the council members or their representatives. And I would think we should have certainly somebody from city planning at minimum for what we're talking about. So we have a sense of what's possible and what's not possible. You know, I mean, we're dealing with real estate, which is the most powerful interest in the city of New York, as you well know. So, you know, if this can be done in time for February, that's fine,
No, no.
but
I'm not thinking of February as being the point of real activity. I'm looking at February as the point where the members of this committee and of this board, including the housing committee and others, join in trying to put together a plan to which then is followed by a session at which the council people and the like. This can be done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all I'm saying is that this is ambitious and it's going to take some time, but I'm all in favor of it in principle.
Steve?
Chuck, to some extent, isn't the horse already out of the barn in terms of tax abatements and benefits? So going back to the first item we discussed about this lovely building that was being built on Kingsbridge Terrace, right between two probably multifamily houses, but not apartment buildings, clearly, with the benefit of something 40, what was it? The UAP units, pursuant to 485X tax abatement. So as long as these various tax abatements and other benefits exist.
You're right, but the other side of that coin is the following. There is unquestionably a need for housing in the middle and lower middle areas of the income structure. There's loads of luxury housing. And everybody and his brother is out there protected for the income stream it provides to the city of New York. Last chairman of city planning was the councilman for that area, so they were sure to get covered. But the point I'm trying to make here is you need abatement. For example, that development you saw in the beginning would be much more affordable. And the developer would be able to make roughly the same amount of money, if not more, if three things were done as a hypothetical. One, if the city of New York worked with the developers, I will give you land costs reduced if you produce the following kind of building. I will relieve you of city sales taxes and some of the state sales taxes and the like if you do this kind of a building. I will give you zoning relief, but that requires planning. New York City coasted from 1970 until the 1990s by relying on the buildings that were condemned by me in 1966 because they were slums. They were then vacant, picked up, and development was done on them. That cheap land that was turned over to the city or to others is gone. The only pieces left are toxic land. And when we suggested that that land be used as a bank for developing truly affordable, and I don't mean projects, I mean truly affordable lower middle income housing, it fell on deaf ears. Can we change it? I don't know. I think it highly unlikely, but I'll be damned if we just sit back and let that pessimism overtake us. So with your permission, I'd like to go down the road of seeing, I'll talk to Farah, how we can schedule this, and I'll talk with each of you. Okay?
And just so you know, your next meeting is the 2nd of February.
So we'll aim for the March meeting.
And then you have a February 5th would be the only free night for an additional meeting.
No, then we'll have to aim for the March meeting.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 pieces of business that have to still be done. May I with respect to the minutes of December 1, 2025 meeting, which have been circulated, are there any comments or corrections? May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second, all those in favor, contrary minded, done. Are there any items of new business?
I think you just raised them.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Let me just ask you, now that the meeting is adjourned, Farah, I think we ought to, no, they stay on. I
I'm
believe
just
in
gonna stop this
transparency.
recording.